day, and of course, exit has perhaps to be prominent, and there's a sense that Chattanooga is calling me for some level of exposure. All right. So let me read the first one. Of course, I appreciate this. What do you do in your role as executive pastor? That's a good question. Well, an executive pastor categorically is at the disposal of the senior pastor, hence his needs and his preferences. So there is no cookie cutter that one size fits all. It's based upon the need or needs of that local church, and of course that is expressed through that senior pastor. So at New Mount Olive, I do everything perhaps that pastorally you can think of. I teach, I preach, I do funerals, I do counseling, premarital counseling, I do marriage counseling, I do general Christian counseling, and generally the senior pastor and I, we do Christian counseling in partnership. We do that together, but I generally do all of the premarital and marriage counseling. I teach on Wednesdays. Always I teach the noon Bible study, and of course, in many instances, if pastor is out, or if he doesn't feel well, or perhaps if he just wants me to teach, I'll do the 7 p.m. service. I oversee staff. I oversee vendors and contracts and administrative matters also. I oversee. So the workload is tremendous, but I love every moment of it. And there are times when I have to stand in at meetings outside of the church for the senior pastor, and I'll do that. And we have boards, and so generally, there are times when senior pastor will make a board meeting, and I won't, or I'll make one and he won't. We try not to duplicate many of our efforts, and so in many instances, for instance, we have this pact that he and I, of course, in partnership. If he is preaching a funeral, we have someone already on staff who's our congregational care minister, who oversees the whole processes of funeral arrangements at the church. And so really, if I am not preaching the funeral, there's really no need for me to be present. And the senior pastor alike, if he's not preaching the funeral, then he's not present. We try, in his language, we try not to wear ourselves thin when we already have the personnel in place to execute service according to the needs of the church. So I cover the whole gamut, as it were. And so that's what I do as senior pastor, all right? I mean, as executive pastor. In your book, you say that we need to enjoy the journey in becoming a leader. Can you share a biblical reference to this principle? For me, the biblical record for enjoying the journey is Jesus. And matter of fact, if you've read the Hebrew writer, Hebrews chapter 12, it says relative to his death on the cross, he endured the shame, and here's what it says: for the joy that was set before him. And of course, it was not yet, it was love, we say, that kept him there, but it was also the joy that was before him that kept him there. So the journey for Jesus was a joyful journey. I mean, you think about it. When it was time for him to journey to Jerusalem, ultimately to die, literally, here's what the writer says, he set his face like a flint to go to Jerusalem without distractions, hence whether he was denied, betrayed, there was no distractions because he set his face. Ultimately, hear this, his joy was resonant in the Lord. Okay, that's where joy literally comes from. Not circumstances, not happenstances. No, it's the Lord. And there's no greater joy than that of pleasing the Lord, and particularly knowing that you're executing your assignment to his pleasure. There's no greater joy. And I don't care the affirmation, people will pat you on the back, but here's the point, that some assignments will not include or entail many pats. So how well do you do with an assignment that's not popular, hence that does not elicit affirmations? How you do that? Because when we finish, we want somebody to say, you did good. I mean, we really do. But there are some assignments that don't include affirmation. But you got to know that you're executing the assignment to his pleasure. And hence, the joy of the Lord becomes my strength. All right? Let me read this one. How do you address someone in the ministry that isn't meant to be in the ministry delicately? How do you address someone in the ministry that isn't meant to be in the ministry? Well, wisdom is the principal thing. And of course, there will be situations that must be confronted, because I want you to hear this, but confront it in wisdom. It's almost like you got something to tell me and you're going to confront it. Well, do it in wisdom, because you can't confront me anywhere among anybody. Timing is everything. Seasoned is everything. And then, hear this, truth you love is the key to growth and development, hence the empowerment of people. Okay. So you got to be careful. You say they shouldn't be in the ministry. Well, how do you approach that? Here it is, God, I need your wisdom. He that lacketh wisdom, let him inquire of God, who giveth liberally. I need the wisdom. I really do need the wisdom of God. It is truth in love, but this truth in love must be in coordination with time, with the right timing, with season. Because if not, you can confront people perhaps truthfully and then not only undermine relationship, but literally you can dismantle a person's esteem. And of course, you really want to handle them, you're right, with delicacy. But ultimately, it's wisdom. It's wisdom. All right? Some of us are literally operating out of our sphere of influence, or perhaps our sphere of effectiveness. Now, you just got to know that God has not called you to do everything, okay? But God has literally equipped you in specificity. There's something special that God has assigned to your trust. And you got to discern what it is that God has assigned to your trust. And hear me, anything perpetually you're trying to do, hear me, is a clear indication you're not to do. Okay, let me say that again. I'm not going to try to sing. I can't. But there's so many people who can. You have the choir ministry, your music ministry. You have so many people. So why would I keep trying at that? Here's the point. Anything that you are perpetually trying to do, it is a clear indicator that you don't need to do. Because at the end of the day, your assignment is empowered. Hear this. Your assignment is empowered for optimal performance. That is, if you operate within your assignment, hence you are anointed for that, and your performance will be of such profoundness or profundity that there will be no doubt that you're operating within your sphere of effectiveness. Okay? So I'm not going to try to do everything. No. If I need something done, and I know, for instance, that there's some work, I'm computer literate, but I ain't into graphics. No, I ain't into that. That's why I got people around me who can handle that, right? PowerPoint, I ain't into that, okay? But I got people around me, tell them what I need, and they get it done. And I don't try to do it. Y'all got it? All right, I operate within my sphere of effectiveness. I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. I outsource my weaknesses. Yeah. Okay, do you have any YouTube sessions for the book that we can go, okay, that wasn't covered? Okay, let me tell you this. No, but we're in the process now of working on the innovative ways and means to perhaps express our ideas via the book. We're working now on a workbook, and of course, I'm hoping that will be finished at least by the end of the summer. And then, of course, we're working on the, a PowerPoint so that when we go places, we can literally give a package or packages that you'll have the book, you'll have the workbook, and you'll have the PowerPoint presentation. So we're working on all of that for you who are interested in that. Okay, can healthy competition have a place in partnership? Healthy competition has been said to yield a better, a more fruitful product. I don't really know what you mean when you talk about healthy competition, particularly as it registers within the realm of the spirit or in the realm of the church. For instance, let me just say, I don't know how I would define healthy competition between Pastor Davis and myself. What does that look like? Healthy competition? I guess perhaps, now I don't know what that looks like, particularly within the sphere of partnership. Maybe it looks like, I don't know, maybe Pastor Davison, who's always operating in the spirit of excellence, and of course it inspires me to follow the pattern of the trend. I seek to give God my best. He gives God his best. I don't see the competition there, because to compete simply means that you are my competitor or my opponent. And I don't see Pastor Davidson as my competitor, my opponent, but I do believe that each one of us can do our best. You see, and one of the things that I love about our congregation is that in the maturity of discipleship, we are never categorically perhaps pitted against one another so as to say, well, if he teaches, I'm coming. If he's teaching, I'm not. You know, the reality of our partnership is see, what I've learned in life is this. People generally will give homage to whomever the leader leads them to give such. Okay? And for instance, Pastor Davison respects me, honors me publicly, and as a result, he establishes the pattern or perhaps the model for the whole church. Let's say, for instance, he's on vacation. Well, if he's on vacation, there's no drop in attendance. Let's say they drive up on a Wednesday and they don't see one of our vehicles there. There is no drop in attendance. Whether his car's not there or whether my car's not there, there is no drop in attendance. Now, there is a drop if his car's not there and my car's not there. Okay? Now, I must be honest with you. There is a drop, right? But relative to our partnership, and that's what makes it so profound, that there is perhaps no component of competition. We both give God our best, and whatever that looks like, that's left to perception. But hence, ultimately, our pursuit is his pleasure, not public perception. But maybe, okay, yeah, healthy competition, okay. Okay, what do you say or do to get people to buy in to partnership? What do you do to get people to buy in to partnership? I think one of the first things that must be done, you have to really model what you desire. Literally, you have to exhibit your greatest desire. It's more like, for instance, it's a husband saying to me, my wife, she don't know how to talk to me. She don't know how to treat me, right? And I get that a lot. Okay, I got you. And I'm saying to him in response, okay, then maybe she need some tutelage. Okay, you tutor her by talking to her the way you desire her to talk to you. You be the example. You exhibit the grace that perhaps you would like for her to share in the interactive moment. You share it with, you set the precedent. That's what happens. I think that which we desire, we have to model it, right? We have to model it. Now, truth is, everybody won't buy in, okay? Everybody won't buy in. But one of the ways I think that you get people to buy in, you have to exhibit, but I think also it has to be a matter of our teaching. It's discipleship. And one of the things we've discovered is that concepts must be launched through the teaching eventualities of the church. So you have to teach it. The language has to become perhaps the norm of our culture. And so I think you have to model it, exhibit it, and then I think we have to intentionally teach this whole concept of partnership. Partnership is beyond membership. Membership, perhaps everybody claims even if they don't attend. Have you ever noticed that? I mean, as big as our church is, folks die and we check for them in the system and they're nowhere in the system. We check 3 to 5, they're nowhere in the system, but they declare, I know mama was a member. And I don't dispute that. Mama probably was a member, right? But you do see the mentality of membership, which in essence, it is different from the mentality of mindset of partnership. You know, when you get to a place of partnership, sacrificially, you are willing to share the vulnerability that comes with being partner. For instance, if you are a partner with Pastor Williams, you ain't pushing everything off on him so that you can always appear to be unbiased, always the kind one, never perceived as the one of any resistance. So you push it off on the, no, you take care of it. You're a partner, right? If someone is errant, out of order, you're a partner, right? You speak to it. Y'all get quiet. I'm gonna let Pastor handle this. No, you are what? Partner. You have stock in this. So there's a difference between a member and a partner. I believe the Bible teaches partnership, hence fellowship, koinonia. It's having perhaps mutual investment. All right? In our current role before today, how would you suggest before today planning your future events, example, programs to select partnership committee members? In our current role before today, how would you suggest planning your future event? Well, first thing we talked about before planning is prayer, all right? And here it is. There are some events that we prayerfully plan, and here is the prayerful planning. God, give me the discernment of those persons that perhaps you would desire to serve on this ministry or perhaps on this committee. Now, you say, okay, that's over spiritualizing. Well, I would rather over spiritualize than over generalize. Okay, now, all I'm saying to you is simply this, that we do a lot of planning and we bring a lot of people together we hadn't even prayed about. Okay, sister, hear me. Sister may be your bosom buddy, but sister ain't mature, not for this work. Okay, and so you want to bring sister on with you for this work because y'all bosom buddies, but this work demands partnership, and partnership is forged in the spirit. Okay, so you bring her on and she is utterly immature. Okay, now you have some rapport, some repute. Now you're gonna let her mar the little you have. You pray, and in prayer you ask God for direction, and that means you got to ask God for the people who will constitute this committee. That is critical. There's nothing like saying when we're ready to do things around the church, and Pastor will call me and he said, I want you to pray about this, and of course let's come back together next week and let's see what the Lord says. And then we do that, and then we go out and we say, call that person in, and we say to that person, the Lord put you on our heart. The Lord put you on our heart. Because it's easy to mess up that which is intended to be a good deed. You can mess it up by bringing the wrong people together. You know, as great as LeBron is, the team wasn't put together well. You see it? And what they're suffering from now is not LeBron, so y'all know I'm a fan, right? Not LeBron's decline. No, he's not. His stats are just as impressive as they've ever been. But they're suffering from a lack of chemistry got to put the right team together. Okay? Y'all put folk together who don't even like one another. No, you can't do that. So we got to pray about that. All right. All right. Let me give you about one more. Yeah. What are the main benefits of creating partnership within the church and also with other churches? Wonderful. Wonderful. Because we do more for the kingdom's sake in partnership than we could ever do in isolation. And I think, again, you're right with other churches. But sometimes, here's the problem. Partnership is about greater influence, and indeed, partnership is about innovative capacity. Hence, in partnership, we have greater influence and we have greater capacity for innovation. Now, hear this. The problem is, if we're going to partner, we have to partner with a church that's of the same spirit as our church. Now, here's what I mean by it. Perhaps I'm looking around, make sure I can say this. We tried to do a lot of work, particularly when I was in Alabama. We tried to do a whole lot of work partnering with Caucasian churches, with white churches. Didn't take us long to realize we were wasting our time. Here's the point. They have the resources. Okay? They have the resources, and of course, partnership, planning, premise on resources, right? They have the resources, but we soon, it didn't take us long to figure out we're of a different spirit. And we can't partner merely for public perception. There has to be something in common relative to purpose. Okay? If we're going to partner, there has to be purposefulness in our partnership, because we ain't partnering just to have something different to do. Right? Okay, and you get into the problem of what Stephen Covey calls, you get into the problem of dealing with primary and secondary greatness. Okay, and very few churches are interested in primary greatness. Primary greatness, Stephen Covey says, is about character and contribution. Okay, secondary greatness is about power, prestige, and popularity. That's what you get into. That's literally what you get into. We could help so many churches in partnership in South Florida, but it's amazing that our size frightens churches that we could really empower to do greater work, but they are more interested in whether or not we want to take over their church. We could help so many churches, but you just got that sense that everybody seemingly wants to do their own in isolation. And so partnership can be difficult because we've isolated ourselves so often that it's difficult to come together in partnership, you know? We would have what they call citywide revivals. And here was the amazing thing. We would have citywide revivals with the white churches. Wouldn't be nobody there but black people. The pastors, they would come, but their folk wouldn't come. Yeah, didn't push it. They don't push it from the pulpit. And I said to the guys, y'all wait, listen. If he won't preach truth from the pulpit to his folk, no, we can't have no prayer breakfast together. What are we praying for? You won't even go to your pulpit and tell the people that racism is a sin. Or have a prayer breakfast and you call it race reconciliation? No, reconciliation takes place when you get in that pulpit and preach it. So I said, no, I ain't going to no prayer breakfast. No, hypocrisy. You go back to your church and won't say a word about where you've been this morning. You understand that, right? Because one thing we learned is that partnership is not only shared vision, it's not only shared values, it is not only shared, hear this, victories and shared vitality, but it's shared vulnerability. And if you ain't willing to risk like I am, we can't be partners. Yeah. Well, what time is it? That's enough. It's 1 o'clock and Chattanooga is calling my name. Thank you so much. Pastor Williams, I say to you again publicly, as I will say to you perpetually, personally, thank you for your brotherhood, but thank you for being who you are. Listen, this is a great man. And I'm not just saying it because I'm here with him. Since I've known him, he's been a great man. And so many look up to Pastor Williams because he has been such a phenomenal, such a prominent presence in the life of the church and hence in kingdom building. And so we applaud you, and indeed we laud God for such a gift. Amen? Thank you.
Well, phenomenal 3 days we have had so far. And I want to thank God for this great man of God, my friend and brother, for just pouring out his unique gift and wisdom that the Lord has embedded in his heart and his mind. It's been a great, great time, and I want to thank all of you so much for your commitment and your presence and your faithfulness to these 3 days. It's been great. We've had a wonderful turnout. It's been a great fellowship, a great spirit in the room, and we have been blessed and we've been challenged. And I'm so looking forward to Pastor Davidson and Kennedy finishing those workbooks so we can get those and continue this. But I already am putting him on the schedule without even having him to look at his schedule. I'm putting him on the schedule for next year. So hopefully we're going to put something together. Again, the original plan was to have both of them be here, but there were some scheduling issues, and plus Pastor Davidson was closing out his pastoral anniversary. And so the next thing we did to plan is we talked about getting a leadership trip that we'll do in 2020 down to Fort Lauderdale. And I think that'll be a great experience. We did that when I was pastoring in Michigan, and it was a wonderful thing. We took our leaders up and kind of did some things with them, and it was just a powerful, powerful event. And so we look forward to what God is going to do on tomorrow. Don't forget, tomorrow being the 5th Sunday, we will still report to our regular classes. Do not get here at 7 o'clock looking for that breakfast, because there is none. So my advice to you is see if they have a hot dog left that you can take with you and have that in the morning. So regular Sunday school classes, and we'll kick off at 9:30. Brother Edwards and Brother Moore made it through the council. Amen. Amen. They survived. I was going to share it tomorrow, and I'll share it with you all as soon as I went in the room to talk with Pastor Hathaway, Pastor Ladd, and Pastor Hampton, who led the council. I said, all right, give it to me. And Pastor Hampton said, those boys are ready. And so that's good. I thank God for them, and I think the church is going to be tremendously blessed. And so I want to congratulate them. Let's stand. I'll see you all in the morning. The Lord says the same.